All right, let's bring in Professor Nthatisi Khatleli from the School of Construction, Economics and Management at Wits University to also weigh in on this. So, Professor, we do really appreciate your time here today. Welcome to SA Today. So, from a construction regulation perspective, coupled with the little information that is currently available to us about the history and subsequent renovation of this particular temple or building, where it's our understanding that there were additional floors actually being added to the current existing structure, what do you then assume might have led to this collapse? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Thank you for inviting me. I'm honored to be here. The information is sketchy at this point in time, but with the little that we have, I can say I've heard that the building approvals were not there. So that is a very critical stage, especially if you're dealing with a public building where you're going to house quite a number of people. So I think that oversight probably led to this tragedy. Secondly, I understand, as we have rightly said, that there were two floors and then two more floors or something like that were added. Now, the question is, the bottom floors, were they designed to support this load? Because we call this an imposed loading. Even if you are starting with the 2 floors or 3 floors and are going up at a later stage to 7 floors or whatever, the bottom floors should be designed in such a way that when you add more load, they can still support. So here, what I've learned is that they were casting the slabs for the upper floors, and they had the chute on top of the building, and that's where the collapse started. So you can only assume that maybe the structure couldn't hold up the weight, and then it collapsed.
Professor, I mean, there's quite a lot, that we still need to learn pertaining to the actual events that led to this collapse. Let's talk about that key legislation as well as standards, right? Please take us through this process of the required compliance as per the National Building Regulations and Standards Act of South Africa, such as, of course, from inspections to occupancy certificates, electrical, as well as other required compliance. It's a very long process that results in the ultimate approval of any said plans ultimately occupation of any building or structure.
First of all, you design the building using your architects, and then you have to take this to the authorities so that the plans can be approved. That stage is not optional. So you can't say, okay, they are going to waste my time, I'll go around that. No, it's mandatory. They have to be checked by registered engineers to ensure that the building that you have is able to support its own weight first. And then secondly, can support all the imposed loads that will be imposed on it at a later stage. So the fact that these plans have to be approved will take care of quite a number of things. Safety is one, zoning, so that we have the church at the proper place that is assigned for that, and then all the building regulations are adhered to. So we have to make sure that even the engineers and architects that were involved in the designing of the building are registered, and all the surveyors are registered, so that we can get the confidence that these are the people that are qualified to design the structures that will not really hurt people at a later stage. That will be stage number one. And then the plans have to be submitted. When they are submitted, of course, there will be revisions. People are not perfect. There will be corrections here and there. And that stage is very crucial because you've got independent people here who come with fresh minds to say, why did you do this here? Couldn't you do it this way? So that is very important because nobody's perfect. But if there's nobody who's checking, we don't know if the contractor designed this themselves. They were not even using the engineers. But that stage is very important so that we can bring fresh a pair of eyes and independent minds to check this thing. And once all those stages are taken care of, then you'll have the approval, and then the construction can start. But even during construction, the engineers that are registered should be going there periodically. Normally it's 2 weeks, every 2 weeks, to check that the standards are adhered to, the specifications are adhered to, and then revisions could be made on site depending on the local conditions that are found on site. So there are protocols that have to be adhered to. And once we start cutting corners, then we will have problems like we probably might have had in this case.
It's very unfortunate indeed, Professor, because the city of Durban has since confirmed that no building plans were actually approved for this particular structure. And concerning, Prof, is the fact that we've seen quite a huge loss of lives during floods and even landslides in the province of KwaZulu-Natal lately. I think the Premier also made mention to it, expanding to even other parts of the country as well. And a lot of debate about the compliance of some of these buildings, residential or commercial, that actually present quite a threat of loss of lives. Who should then be responsible in carrying out these checks and balances, and also following up on who is building what where, so as to have a proper tally of all existential buildings, as well as plans, as well as compliance?
Yeah, let me just pick up on the point that we mentioned earlier. If it has been confirmed that there were no approvals, then we can safely say this was an illegal construction. In short, so problems were bound to occur. Now, on the second issue that you raised, I think it's incumbent on the council to really go around checking all the construction, especially the ones that are double stories upwards, that they are legal, that proper approvals have been obtained from the council. That is their job. Somebody must do the vetting. I mean, nobody will go and report if they are not really proactive. So I think it's incumbent. They should learn from this tragedy that, you know, they really have to be proactive to go around and vetting all the projects that are taking place in and around Durban and elsewhere.
And a lot of people have also made comparison between this temple collapse and the George building collapse, Professor. Are these two incidents even comparable, do you think?
Whenever there's a collapse, there is a problem. So there are commonalities there. The circumstances will never be the same. But if you see a building collapsing, you must know that there's a problem. It's either the problem of the contractor, or the engineer had some problem, or the supervision. So there is a problem. Buildings can't collapse because they are designed. And when they are designed, we know the loading that structure can manage and all the rest of it. So it's not just an accident. There is a problem there. So with this one, we know it's illegal. With the George, maybe standards were not adhered to, but there are commonalities between the two accidents.
Great analysis. Thank you so much for that insight, Professor. That is Professor Nthatisi Khatleli from the School of Construction, Economics and Management at Wits University, also weighing in about building regulations pertaining to what could have potentially led to the Verulam Temple collapse in Durban.